everybody. Happy Friday to you. I'm a little off my game this afternoon because I have been we'll use quotes for this, on vacation the last week or so. Just had a lot of things to kind of get going around here. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a pause in your day-to-day, doings. So I've had some time with my kids and getting things, some fall cleaning, getting ready for the holiday season and whatnot. So I'm really excited to be back with you guys today for another episode of the Breakthrough Show. And we'll see if it's like riding a bike. We'll see if it's like riding a bike. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I'm really excited to be back with you today for a truly special guest that's joining us on the Breakthrough Show today. He is the visionary creator of GoBrunch. And for those of you that don't know, GoBrunch has become a pillar of our community here at the Breakthrough Show Network. It's not just a software, it's the foundation of our virtual community where we gather, connect, experience breakthroughs together. And I'm very excited today because our guest's journey of creating GoBrunch and his passion for bringing people together in meaningful ways aligns so much with our mission here at the Breakthrough Show Network. So I'm thrilled to dive into his story today and explore the incredible impact that GoBrunch has had, not only on our network, but on communities around the world. So without further ado, please welcome virtually Richard Lowenthal to the show. Richard, welcome. So excited to have you here today.
Hey, Jessica. Yeah, likewise. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really exciting for me to have you here because, I mentioned in the intro that we really had been on a search for quite some time for something that fit what we were trying to accomplish here on the Breakthrough Show Network. And then it's so weird because I normally think things through a lot more than I did with GoBrunch. And somebody introduced GoBrunch to me and I was like, this is it. And I just went for it. And then I met you afterwards and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so aligned with what we're trying to do. So this thrills me here today to have you here. And I would love for you to start out and share with everybody where you're joining us from in the world, because I think we could tell that you're not here with us in the United States. And so let us know where you're joining us from and something that's bringing you joy today. Let's start with that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, well, I live in Brazil, and I think that joy is just to be here, right? Because I love to see, I think GoBrunch is probably the first business that I created in my life that helps people to get more creative.
Yeah.
And that definitely inspires me a lot because, creativity is part of my life, right? It's something that I discovered when I was 17 years old, that, okay, why I'm not a good student, right? What exactly is happening to me? And now that I'm able to help people to get more creative, it really, inspires me and makes me feel, happy.
I love it. I love it. Yes, creativity. It seems to be a theme. All the people that I've met that have enjoyed our virtual community, as it's been since we created it with GoBrunch, they're creative people. And I think that really speaks to your energy as well, what you put out there into the world. And these are all of us that you're creating with now. So it's fun. Miss Brittany is joining us out there today. Hello, Brittany. Good to see you. Miss Nancy's here today. We love GoBrunch. Absolutely. Absolutely. All these people that are coming in today are Richard fans and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. So it's great. I would love to know, Richard, we talk about breakthroughs here on the show, and I'm going to assume once we get into talking about your story that creating a GoBrunch was probably your own breakthrough. But what does that word breakthrough mean to you, if anything, in your life?
Well, I think, in terms of impact, right? Like kind of an impact that I have in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that for me, by the time that I started GoBrunch, I was kind of, I was stepping out as a executive career. and was working from home, and I was kind of feeling lonely,
Yeah.
right? And I think one of the things that happened is that I started attending different webinars, and I was just like, something is wrong here, right? Because I feel I feel even worse now. What is happening here? Where's everyone? And I think that was probably one of the inspirations that I had once I created GoBrunch, because I
Mhm.
wanted people to get together. It is interesting because, um, as you mentioned, like, yeah, I think GoBrunch kind of attracts more creative people.
Mm.
And for me, it took a little bit of time to realize that, because sometimes I was just showing to, my networking with, which was more like, executives, and they were not exactly getting in the first place what exactly we're talking about, Richard, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, find the audience that resonate with your dreams and your passion. Sometimes it takes it takes a little bit while.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what's interesting? GoBrunch, the platform, has really almost become a sort of litmus test as to which people are going to be a good fit for me to work with. If I invite them to my office for a meeting, my virtual office on the GoBrunch platform, and they're not immediately like, oh my gosh, what is this? And it is so amazing, then I'm learning that they're really not my people to work with. Like, if they're not completely just, this is so amazing, it's become this thing that I think very quickly helps me determine who are my people.
This is interesting, right, Jessica? Because we have to brainstorm how we can identify these people prior,
Yeah.
before we join your room, right? And that's the challenge that we have for for ourselves as well, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, there are some people who didn't feel like, kind of excited with the rooms by the first time they join it,
Mm.
and that it was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. What is this, right? But after a while, they became like, completely addicted to it.
Mm.
And it is. I was a little bit kind of, a little bit cautious. Like, I don't know, like there is a kind of a psychographic for
Mm.
people who join, but I
Yeah.
was able to convert a few people,
Yeah.
which means there is hope.
Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. I mean, it does speak to certain people. And I think that, not realizing of the kind of person you are is its own breakthrough in itself. Realizing that maybe you like a little more bells and whistles, maybe you like a beautiful background and not to, play Hollywood squares on, on certain platforms. And so I think that's such a beautiful breakthrough to have, is just realizing I'm someone who likes a creative space. I love a creative space. I love colors. I love something that's outside of the box. Have is that sort of? Do you feel you are that type of person that you just tend to gravitate towards things that are just a little bit different?
Absolutely, yeah. My
Yeah.
entire life, I love art. I'm not an artist, right? I'm not talented, but I always loved art. And my first business was related to computer graphics.
Mm.
And I love, interior design. I love anything, anything related to colors.
Mm.
And again, it's interesting because I failed in many businesses that I had
Mm.
related to technology and, let's say, computer graphics that I tried before, multimedia, or even like, website design. And then I
Yeah.
ended up working with education, which was completely different from that. But
Wow.
I was able to kind of convince my partners that design was a very important, component from it. And then we added design as one of our values, as
Mm.
much as it wasn't like a business related to it. And my business school was a very interesting, successful business that I had. And yeah, design is one of the core values that we have.
Wow. Wow, I want to dive into that a little bit too. I'm also excited to get into a little bit more of the specifics of your story. So we're going to take a super quick break and we're going to come right back after this and we're going to go into story time. We're going to go into more about GoBrunch and I'm excited about that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing. Healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. Today is Friday, August 30th, 2024. Really excited to be here with you today with Richard Lowenthal from GoBrunch. And I'm thrilled to have this conversation today. And I want to kind of back up a little bit and talk about sort of coming to this point of where you are now, Richard. You mentioned being a creative person and trying different businesses and not quite getting where you wanted to be. Is this the first time with GoBrunch that you've done something like this, or were your other projects similar in any kind of way?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my first businesses that I started when I was 18 years old was designing or developing multimedia kiosks and CD-ROM. And to be honest, there are some components that are very similar. For example, the immersivity, right? Because it was very immersive, the way that you could navigate. I remember doing like demonstration for car dealers and, you know, car makers, where you click on the door, open the door, the car's door, and then you can get inside of it, and then you can just check the engine, right? And this kind of, yes, and in many different examples that I remember, I try to create a kind of a magazine, a digital magazine. And yeah, I was very young, right? Really difficult to focus on a project, always jumping from project to project.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are some interesting similarities between those two projects. But GoBrunch is a little bit different because it allows people to do that instead of myself. Right? Because previously what I was doing is just listening to what they have to say, what they're, you know, what kind of experience you want to provide to your customers, and then I would design myself. But in GoBrunch, people can design their own project, they can design their own spaces.
Yeah. And I mean, do you feel like the community part of things has always been part of what you've wanted to put out there in the world, or is that sort of newer with GoBrunch, or has community been a part of the other projects as well?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when I was 8 years old, I created like a kind of a small community. And yeah, like, you know, all kind of business that I have, it kind of, you know, travel back in time.
When you were how old? Wait a minute.
I was 80 years old, and I created It was a kind of an association for renting comic books because I love comic
Yeah.
books. And I was, the president of this comic association, and it was like a small community of friends, right?
Mm,
And I actually loved that. It was a really, amazing experience. We never, never ran in anything, right? It's just like
yeah. Yeah.
playing with that was really cool. But yeah, what happened is that, yeah, in GoBrunch, I always had like this social component,
Mm,
which was very strong. Like, hey, we need to, it's not only like the video conferencing, there is something social. I want people to connect with each other. And in 2021, right, I think Marissa probably was the first person, right? Marissa Lowen, that was
yeah.
probably the first person who started using GoBrunch as a community platform.
Mm,
And that definitely inspired me to say, hey, this is the way, right? Because yeah, I love the idea of building communities and building worlds as a creative person. And the fact that people can do that, I think it definitely makes, every time I see an example, I see people getting creative, creating their worlds, and inside the worlds they say, hey, this can be useful for this or that. This definitely motivate me to do more.
yeah. Yeah. Why would you say, I mean, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit right now, but I want to sort of allow this to be a foundation of the other things that we talk about. Why is that connection and community important? Like, why GoBrunch? Because I mean, we know that there are other platforms that we're meeting on before. I mean, at least that we were before GoBrunch, and so why GoBrunch though? Why do you think that some of this creativity aspect that you're talking about, why is that important?
Yeah, I think there are different reasons why I think it's important. The first thing is, I feel that the world has a lack of belonging. I think this is right. People are trying to belong somewhere, and sometimes they spend years and years they don't find. And I think that once you create a virtual space, it's not like a feed, right? In a feed, you cannot, it's very difficult for you to belong somewhere in a feed. But if you join a space that from a person that you like and you resonate with their values, and you see the caller say, hey, Jessica, this is just you, right? And I feel comfortable here, I feel at home. Like, people start to express their feelings, they start to feel more comfortable in sharing their emotions. And it's just like you just feel like you are part of this universe, right? And I think this is super important these days.
Yeah.
For me, this is number one. There are different factors that I can point out, such as our memory is based on a location, right? And if you are in a community, what is the look at where I am? And GoBrunch definitely helps you to localize yourself, right? And not to mention that the fact that there's no time limit, it makes you feel like in a place that it's a physical place, right? It's not like such as a place that it's okay, now it's over. Okay, what is over, right?
Yeah.
And I think the combination of all these components makes GoBrunch a place that people feel comfortable, and then you, as the owner of the place, you embrace them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think that there's a certain way that we look at relationships for those of us that are attracted to something like GoBrunch? Do you think that the people that you've interacted with, do we look at relationships differently? Because I know there's a lot of people that are still in their minds sort of separating the real life relationships and the online relationships. You know what I mean? Like they're like, even when they talk about, say, going to a coffee shop with a friend, they're like, I'm going with my real friend, my real life friend, my real connection. And I see that a lot now. Do you think that that those of us who use GoBrunch maybe think about relationships a little bit differently? I mean, that's what I've just noticed for myself. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
I definitely think yes, because yeah, I think that when it comes to in person, there is it's a easier environment for you to connect with people, right?
Mm,
Online, it's a little bit more difficult, and
yeah.
I think it's more difficult because we already feel like the restrictions of time. Every time we join a meeting, okay, we have 30 minutes and I have a hard stop and this and that. And okay, right. And there's no even time for you to kind of share what you want to share. In person, there is a kind of um, I would say people are a little bit more tolerant, right? Because you have the eye contact and yeah, I feel like something like that. People are a little bit more human when you are in person, and that's why, as you know, what I'm trying to do is I want to create as much as we can the human aspect that you find in person when we are online, because we spend a lot, many people, right, spend a lot of time online, especially if you're working remotely,
Hmm.
right, or if you're living remotely, and there's no such place that you can feel safe this way. And yeah, I would say that yeah, building relationships online is very, very challenging.
Mm,
I had a lot of different experiences, and the best experiences that I had was when I found myself inside a place that I say, hey, this is just like a representation of your home, or a representation of a place that you feel safe, that you feel like you resonate with that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say hello to Brent that's joining us in Ottawa, Canada. David is here today. Good to see you, David. And David says so many individual connection opportunities, environments, virtual, but still unique and warm. And I think that that's such a huge deal. Like the uniqueness, the warmth, that's what adds, I feel like, to that experience. You almost get swept away sometimes. Like we'll be sitting in one of our rooms on GoBrunch, and I'll forget that I'm not actually in a coffee shop or something. I'll go and fix my coffee before we sit down. Here we are in this beautiful virtual space, and you get like swept away. So it does help to add to that feeling of we're sitting together on the couch enjoying this time together, and it helps you to be, I feel like, to be more present. Brittany was saying as well, that's my story with GoBrunch. It helps my introverted self so much because there's so many people that have come into our space that are not actual coffee shop people. They don't want to go out, and this has helped them to be more social and to meet more people when they wouldn't otherwise.
Absolutely, yes. And I feel exactly the same, Jessica. I think the environment gives us the sense of belonging, and it's not only the environment yourself doing that, but yeah, again, if we create a world that and we make people feel special inside this world, this is what I think that makes the difference at the end of
Mm,
the day, right? And
yeah.
I think that many people they're just missing that because they don't realize how important it is for you to yeah, make people feel special,
Yeah.
right? It's just human connection is just like not a hello and a goodbye. You really need to build on top of something that you believe in. You have to look to the person and say, hey, what is this person really needs, or and I think the first aspect of it is listening, right? And many people don't even listen. They are just hearing, but they're not listening. And yeah, I think the I have been trying to create like a kind of a culture in GoBrunch, gathering all the users, right? All the brunchers that we have, because I think the culture is actually even more important than an environment, as much as they are
Mm,
components that blend. But I think that, creating a culture that it's a nice place with nice people, and here you really like, I see a lot of people sharing messages to me saying, hey, Richard, you created an amazing place because I met a lot of amazing people.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not only the technology, right, Jessica? It's the people behind it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what, that's what I had told people leading up to the show today. I said, I knew that when I had heard a little bit of your story and how passionate you were about people creating connections and communities, being created and people coming together, that's exactly what we've been trying to do for years here, and having people come together. And I was even told, I think back when I have a event that I've hosted since 2016. Every Saturday since 2016, I have hosted a Saturday morning coffee chat. Every Saturday. First 3 months of creating that, no one came. I sat there by myself in a little Zoom room and just wait, because I knew that I wanted this so bad. And I knew that this was going to be such a beautiful and safe space for people. But so many people had said to me then, this is not really, I don't think people really want that. I don't think people really want to come together, online and do the things that they would do in person. So it's interesting because then 2020 happened and everything was done online, and we sort of went into this space. Do you think that everything that happened in 2020 was sort of a fuel for you where GoBrunch was concerned, and maybe people who wouldn't have already thought this could be a really good thing, their minds were opened, I think, a little bit more at that time?
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I would say that, for me, I was feeling that way before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say the pandemic changed for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe for many people, yeah, I think that this changed. And for many people, I think it just, they just got back to their lives and nothing changed. And it's interesting that you mentioned, like, people saying why we're here, right? And I don't want to waste my time. Not exactly with these words, right? They might be polite with you, but I hear this, I heard that many times. And that's, I think, what you mentioned before, which is finding our audience, right? Because at the end of the day, I remember reading from the founder of Second Life, which is probably what was one of the first metaverses, right? And he said that metaverse is not for everyone. And I definitely agree with him, because especially if you're talking about this kind of 3D, which is not GoBrunch, right? But this kind of, it's not for everyone, right? I remember some events that some of my professors were participating and say, hey, this is 3D. I don't want to walk. I don't want to do anything. I just, people are very objective these days, right? And and I think that in GoBrunch, my perception is that, yes, I have hope that at some point, every individual in the world will have their GoBrunch space, because I believe that every person in the world, they want to create a space to their friends or their community to belong. Right. At some point, people will realize that. Right. And you might be in a point of your life that you are busy with everything. Right. You have commitments all day, and, have family and this and that. And, oh, I don't have time for joining a community, or I don't have time for joining video conferencing just for co-working with people. But at some point, you realize how powerful this is, because life changes and you need people around you.
Yes. And I am so excited that you brought up Second Life, because I was on Second Life long time ago. And I have a friend of mine who is in the online space working, and wanted to have her clients that she already had come over to Second Life. And no one, literally crickets, no one was open to it, because these were people that just, like you said, they don't want to make their avatar walk around, like that's not what they had a desire to do. And so I go back to something that we were talking a little bit about before, which is, having people come into the space that are immediately like, they don't understand it. They're like, I don't, the other software works just fine for me or whatever, and I don't need all of these things and everything else. Is there really room to mesh the two together? Like, talk to us about maybe some of the people that you've encountered that weren't really open to it at first, and then maybe change their mind.
All right. Yeah, just thinking here.
Yeah.
I'll just try to generalize the story, just to not mention names. But yeah, I remember people like joining rooms and saying, what the heck I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here. Like, I don't see anything here that that is new already. I have this anywhere else. And with time, participating, making part of the community, and engaging with people, right? I think engaging with the people and within the environment, I think these are, again, two very, very powerful components. They started joining different sessions and she decided to create her room and started expanding, created different projects, bringing people in, became an ambassador, and at the end of the day, it's using GoBrunch very often. And I think this is a very, interesting, and this is not only one person. I had different cases. And again, it's something that, I think I published on LinkedIn. It's been a while, right? The story about the escalator. By the time that the escalator was invented, nobody wanted to use it. Right. And you just think, it's just an escalator. You just get easier to this place here. But people were kind of scared. Why I should use this, right?
Yeah.
And it took, I think, 10 years for people to start using. And
really?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And I think, it's sometimes it's kind of obvious for us, like, this is the future. Why you cannot see that? Right? And some people, as you said, they join and say, whoa, I love that. Some people will take like 10 minutes or 1 hour. Some people will take days or weeks, right? But I think that, ultimately, it's just like a matter of time for people to realize how powerful this kind of virtual environments, or just the GoBrunch virtual space, is for you to gather your people and create, amazing experiences with them.
Right. So we're a little over halfway through the show, and I want to give everybody, if you've come into the show and you've said, okay, I keep hearing about GoBrunch, but what actually is this? Can you, in maybe not so many words, just break it down for everybody what it is exactly?
Yes. Okay. Well, GoBrunch is we're calling it as a community platform based on audio and video. It's a place where you build your community, but it's not only text based, right? You can join and you can imagine that you can create your world in a very simplistic way. You don't have to walk. You don't have to do anything. It's just very, very simple. You just join, but you have your personal branding on it. You have your atmosphere that you create. And people feel more comfortable because they trust you and they trust in your environment. And then you can have video, you can only have audio, but it's a safe place 24/7, and you can set up for your community members or your friends for them to gather. And there are 3 benefits that you have from it. First of all, you can customize your rooms and your spaces. Secondly, you don't have time limit, right? You can just use it whenever you want, and you don't have to be there. Imagine like a physical place. And the third aspect of it is that it gives the sense of community with community features.
I love that. I know I want to point out a couple of things really quickly. David was saying he changed He just had to try. And it was so much better and so many custom options. And Brittany mentioned some of those. There's so many different ways to communicate in GoBrunch. You can be on video or not. You could stay muted. You could text in the chat. You can use GIFs. There's little like hands you can raise. There's so many different things that you can do in there. And I will tell you, one of my biggest moments that someone had with me was that they come into my virtual office. Now I just changed things around here in my house, so I don't have everything set up yet. But where I was sitting before, there was a plaque that I was awarded on the wall behind me. When I created my virtual office, I wanted that same plaque on the wall behind my desk in my virtual office. So I put it there when I designed the room. And someone who had been to my virtual office several times looks at and comes get really close to the computer, and he's looking at the video and he goes, I just realized that you have the same plaque actually behind you in real life that you do in your virtual office. He's like, this is actually who you are, isn't it? And I said, yes, this is, I mean, it was this sort of breakthrough moment for both of us, because it was like, this has been customized to when you, even if I'm not there and you come into my office, you go, this is Jessica's office. It's no mistaking it, you know? And so that was really such a breakthrough moment for us. And you mentioned all the features. David mentioned it. Brittany mentioned it as well. I think a lot of times some of the very entrepreneurial people, the business people that come in and they're like, okay, what's the value here, Richard? If someone says, you know, I'm already meeting with people on video, what is the real value here? What would you say to them?
Well, create your world and make your audience to belong to your world. You will see the difference. Like it's difficult for them to experience if they don't try it out, right? And at the end of the day, like you can have your special place. GoBrunch, imagine something like that. You have your house, you have your website, your GoBrunch space is the gap between them. It's where you belong, right? You don't belong to a 30 minutes call like that. That's not where we belong. You belong to a place that you build and you are proud of this place and you want to showcase to more people. And you can add your content if you want, right? It's not only for meeting, but you can add your content. You can, you know, add videos or text or anything that you like. And once you start trying it out, you'll see like how magical this is.
Yeah. It is. It is that. It's magical. And there's so many different things that you can do. And one of the conversations we had in the community recently was about creativity and how so many of us feel such a sense of freedom when we get to be creative and put, you know, anything that we put our mind to, we can make it happen. But there are other people who, when they're given too many options, they start to freeze up a little bit. They're like, oh, I don't know what I want to do now. How do you sort of talk to those people? Because there are, I mean, really, possibilities are endless with GoBrunch. If someone's having trouble reining it in or making the decision or going like, I can't, there's so many different things, I don't even know where to start. How do you proceed with them?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, to be honest, because what happened is that many times we want to build something, but at the same time, we don't have, let's say, enough motivation to get traction with our space, which means like bringing people in. Right. And my perception is that you don't have to spend a lot of time building your room. Imagine like you're building your house and it's your first house in your life and you don't know exactly where to start. Just make it simple. Because at the end of the day, it's the people who are inviting over, right? Make something simple that just have some touches that, represent yourself. And then, invite people over, spend some time. And at some point, and then you can start adding more stuff. Say, hey, you know what? I can add a different room here for people to hang or to meditate or I don't know, to do like a barbecue, virtual barbecue, or
Yeah.
there is there is a person who I met, Esco, and he created, did something amazing. He make like a kind of a DJ party in GoBrunch, but he's into his business is about food,
Mm.
right? He makes apple pies.
Wow.
And what he did is, like, during the event, he was delivering apple pie to the house of the people who were participating in the event,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
It's super cool idea, right? And then you are just here in Go Brunch, in a very cool place with DJ, and then out of nothing, you right your door, there's someone is knocking on your door, and here's your apple pie, and then everyone can eat together, right?
Yeah.
It's super creative. But yeah, I see a lot of people, Jessica, they spend a lot of time building spaces, playing with that, but they don't have an audience. My
Mm.
advice is, like, you have to start building your audience first, and then bringing to Go Brunch, right? You can definitely build your space first, but yeah, having a friend, having your network, having a community, yeah, it's a matter for you to think about your strategy,
Mm.
and then yeah, use Go Brunch as a channel to gather them, because they will get loyal to you after.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of just going, because I think about the example that you gave, okay, of when you go to have your first house, you don't have much of anything. I mean, you might have some things, but probably have enough to go to sleep and make a meal, something like that, And over time, it becomes sort of who you are. And like like Brittany said, when I first joined Go Brunch, I just had like one or two rooms, and then boom, like all of a sudden, I don't even know, I think we have 30 something rooms now. It's a little it's a lot, but it's fun. And so it's one of those things where over time it just sort of builds. But I think about it in this way too, of eventually, when you invite people there and you're listening, like you were talking about, Richard, listening to them, and you learn what they love. And I'll put little things in rooms that people that come often, are enjoy, and they'll come into a room and they'll go, oh, look at, that's me. I remember when I put a dragon in the meditation room, and Teresa loves dragons. And now every time she comes in there, she's got this big old dragon, and it's just her, and so we have the opportunity, I feel like, to serve even bigger, in a bigger way, to show that we're listening and to show that we're connected, more than just meeting in a plain room and for 30 minutes and going home
Absolutely.
afterwards,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I think that's it, right? We are connected together in a place without the boundaries of this box, right? And
Yeah.
it's just like, and then, we had like an event last week, and it was really cool because the event was over, and I think a few people just stayed for hours
Yeah.
talking. And that's where magic happens.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, in all businesses that I created, I was always a kind of a culture centric person. And
Mm.
the culture is, in my opinion, is always built after hours. It's very good because during the, working hours, we're always busy.
Right.
But after that, right? And then you can just, hey guys, come here. I want to brainstorm. I want to ask your opinion about it. And then you gather, a few people, and you can start motivating them, and that's what makes everything special, right? Because
Yeah.
people feel special this way, and then you start to get excited about your business. People start getting excited with your idea, and yeah, that's the thing, right? And that's why, and that's, again, that's one of the things that the world is missing, this kind
Yeah.
of natural or spontaneous relations, right? I really think that, yeah, people are very objective in the sense of, okay, I have 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and they schedule even like their leisure times. And like,
Yeah.
we have to kind of be a little bit more free in the sense
Yeah.
of writing, especially in the sense of relationship. Doesn't matter if it's business or personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know Brittany's here today. Nancy's here today. Teresa will be watching later. A lot of my favorite people that are just an integral part of our community. And I will speak for them in this moment as well and say some of our most amazing ideas and creations have come outside of events. Like we'll have co-working, which we're just, Pomodoro style, 25 minutes, timer goes off, moving on, this sort of structured community. And then we kind of get to talking afterwards. And next thing you know, somebody has a new business or a new product or a new idea that's just, if we have to think a little bit bigger and know that sometimes these most spontaneous moments that you're talking about can birth the most world-changing things.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I think, our life is made of moments, right? And
yeah,
where we are spending these moments, are we spending in a
right.
place that we feel like home, that you feel like, hey, you're having a party, you spend some time decorating, you spend some time, adding some small stuff here and there that definitely makes the difference. Why online should be different? Right? We have to think online as in real life.
You see, my friends, I have been saying this. This is why I invited Richard here to be with us today, because I knew that he had the same track of mind that I do. I believe that too. That this is such a way for us to bring each other together. And there's so many connections that I've made virtually that just wouldn't have happened otherwise. And how much more rich are our lives now that we can sit here for an hour and hang out with someone from Brazil or South Africa or China or Japan or Russia, or, it's just such a cool experience to get to gather as human beings and create and all of that together. It's such a beautiful thing. I want to talk a little bit about what's to come with GoBrunch. I know that there's a fun event coming up very soon, which we were a part of last time and will be a part of again this time. So we're going to dive into a little bit more. I want you to take a look at an upcoming project that we're working on called the Friendship Paradox, and we'll be right back after this.
On April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embraced the definition of love. Love is the experience of well-being. And a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well-being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
Welcome back to the Breakthrough Show. For more information about the Friendship Paradox, please visit thefriendshipparadox.com. It is premiering on Friendsgiving, the day after Thanksgiving here in the United States. And we would love for you to witness this documentary that I've put together about friendship, which is ultimately about connection, which is what we're doing here with Richard today in talking about GoBrunch. I know that the World Building Expo is coming up very soon. I don't know where the time went. I feel like we just had the last one, and that's a very exciting event that lots of people that use GoBrunch are a part of. Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, an initiative that was created by our brunchers, which is amazing. The community creating stuff, and we are supporting, of course. And the World Build Expo is like an exhibition where people showcase what they're doing in GoBrunch. And it's really cool because, the main purpose of the event is for getting inspiration of building spaces and building businesses on top of GoBrunch. That's the idea. The last edition, we had more than 350 people.
Yeah.
and 62 exhibitors. And it was, simply amazing to see how people are getting creative, with their spaces.
Yeah.
And and for me, what I really love is, more than even looking at their spaces, is how they are connecting with each other.
Mm.
Right. And I love to see that, GoBrunch is enabling people to connect and develop friendship or business opportunities. I think for me, it's definitely like something inspiring. And yeah, and then the expo, you join, you see an agenda of what is happening. You can explore these spaces, or you can just, follow the agenda and watch and join the space to see what people are featuring inside each one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It was super fun last time Brittany was talking about that as well. It was such a blast. And we had so many people that were in our community just come and hang out in our space. And we were just chatting, and people would come in, and we made new friends, and we had other things that we were a part of, had a couple amazing people on the show that were part of the expo, which was super fun as well to get to learn what they do. And it's that expo is really that after hours sort of experience that you're talking about. I remember the one day, I think it ended sometime in the early afternoon, and nobody left until like 11 o'clock at night or something.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody
Yeah,
was just
and it's
hanging
interesting
out.
because of the time zone, then people
Yeah.
start joining from different regions, such as Australia, right? And then they are full of energy, and the discussion just keeps, yeah,
Yeah.
it's really super cool. Yeah.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I would love to know what are some of the things that you're working on from a technical aspect with GoBrunch? Like how hard is it to pull off something like this? Because I'm just thinking about this because I know nothing about the technology side of it, and so
Yeah, it's very challenging, because I think, especially since the beginning, we wanted to make GoBrunch initially GoBrunch was a free platform,
mm,
and we needed to, keep costs low. And then we develop ourselves, let's say, video conferencing system. All the foundation is something that we build by ourselves. We are not relying on vendors, right?
mm,
And it's quite challenging. The main projects that we are working right now is, first of all, we are working on a membership admin area, right? It's been a quite while, and it's very promising because, since people are using GoBrunch to gather their communities, enabling them to manage their members and subscriptions is something very important. And we'll be able to assign, for example, hey, room number 1 and 2 are for members from tier 1. Room
right.
number 2 and 3 are members from tier 2. Like something like that will be possible. The second one is the chat, right? We have our chat is probably our main legacy.
Yeah.
And we are modernizing this chat and giving more like a sense of a forum. And and then, as much as GoBrunch is very based on audio and video, we want to enable the chat as the third component. And the third one is, we want to enable, especially for people who are new to GoBrunch, we want to give them the best experience ever to design their rooms, especially using AI for designing for generating images.
Yeah.
And we are trying our best, especially this week, we spent a lot of time trying to find ways to make it viable, right? Because AI is very expensive.
Yeah.
And we are trying to find ways how we can make this happen for new users to enjoy the experience of generating AI images, because this definitely makes them feel like home, right? And say, hey, this is the kind of place that I want. And within a few words, they can create something like that, something magical.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. I know some people personally that are really excited about the membership feature that you're working on, and I think the AI and everything like you're talking about as well, I think is so great. It's been so helpful for us in creating rooms, and using things like Chat GPT and some of the other, features that Canva offers and things like that as well. And so there's so many different things out there. And I think you're just your encouragement of people to show who they are through this virtual space is such a beautiful thing, because I do think it is such an opportunity for people to come into your space and you can just show them. You don't even have to be there, and you can just show them who you are. It just really, it increases for me that KLT that everybody always talks about, know, like, and trust. And they get to know who you are more through creating a space that is you, and not just this cookie cutter thing that, that everybody's using. And unless you know that someone is using GoBrunch, it's just who they are. And the expo is a great place for people to come and explore. Nancy was saying it was so fun for her last time to visit other businesses and seeing their creativity. And if you're stuck, if you see this show and you're like, yes, I want to get GoBrunch, it makes sense to me, but then you pause because there's so many ideas, go to the expo. There's no shortage of ideas.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then, just show who you are. I love this tagline, right? Yeah, just show who you are, and the expo is a nice place for you to do that.
Yeah.
Don't be shy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't be afraid of getting on camera. Don't be afraid of that either. The good news is, and one of the things I've heard people say that have come into my space is that, you're in like a circle, and as long as you get up to the camera, nobody can see whatever nonsense you have going on behind you anyway. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's definitely a place where you feel like, okay, once you start spending your time, you start to feel more comfortable. Not to mention that you can turn off your camera, and you still, it's not like a boring place. You can still see all the details of the room, and you can see everyone.
Yes, 100%, 100%. You mentioned something before that I think was so important, and I kind of want to circle back around to that as we close out here today. And you talked about creativity being becoming one of the pillars of your business. And I think that, some of the more buttoned up, maybe corporate folks out there don't always lean into that first. And so I really want to celebrate you for making creativity just a cornerstone of GoBrunch, because there's so many of us that had been looking for a space where we felt safe to explore our creativity and parade it on the front porch, if you will. And so thank you for that. And I want to celebrate you for that, but also, do you have any words that you can share to people today that might be, for those who are watching, who are struggling to make something that maybe isn't for everyone, to make it part of their business, make it a cornerstone to follow their dream? What would you say to those people that are like, I'm not sure I can put it all out there?
Yeah, I think, these days it's very challenging, right? Because it's a lot of noise everywhere.
Mm.
But I think that, in my opinion, it doesn't start with you, building a product. In my opinion, it starts to you connecting with the audience that you want.
Mm. Yeah.
And, and finding the way that you like to interact with this audience.
I love that.
For me, that's it, right? Because I see many people starting, getting frustrated because they cannot build something, they cannot build a business, or they cannot thrive. And in my opinion, like, before that, just think about what audience you want to embrace and how can I do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And this, Brittany will laugh because we were having a conversation earlier about audience and about who we're targeting and all of that. And this just completely hits home. And Brittany said, GoBrunch is pretty much my home at this point. We just need beds. We need a room with beds, or we can just put our avatars to sleep at night. That's all it is.
With the jammies party. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pajama party. Oh, Brittany, that's going on the calendar.
Yeah.
Needs to happen. Needs to happen. A space that can be your own connections. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Any final words, Richard, that you'd like to leave for our audience today?
No, I just want to thank you very much for the opportunity to be here and, share a little bit. My thoughts, and thank you very much for everyone who's here watching us. Really nice. I love your messages, and already it super motivates me and inspires me to do more. Your support is amazing, and let's do more, guys. Let's connect more. Let's enjoy this social aspect that our lives provide to us.
Yes. Let's do more. I love it. Leaving it with that with everybody today. Thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you, Richard, for being here. Your story of innovation, resilience, and your commitment to this, just thank you so very much. I can't tell you how much this whole platform has taken what we've tried to do to space. We're just floating around in space at this point. It's so much fun. And I just appreciate you so very much. I encourage all of you to explore the GoBrunch software. We have a link for you down in the show notes. Come check us out at the breakthroughshownetwork.club, the breakthroughshownetwork.club, and check that out. And Richard, they can find you on LinkedIn and can connect with you there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just find me on LinkedIn. Let's connect.
Love it. Brittany saying thank you. We appreciate you so much. Thank you again, Richard, for being here. Appreciate you. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and keep an eye out for the next episode of The Breakthrough Show, and we will see you next time. Make every day a great day for a breakthrough. Bye, everybody.